What's up, everybody? Derek and Mike from Six Disc Changer. This is episode 3.
Exactly. And for this episode, we are having a fantastic conversation with Priscilla, the owner of the Crypt here in Denver.
I love that place.
Place is awesome. I've known her here for a long time in Denver. She's one of my local heroes. She's always been extremely welcoming to me personally, but just an extremely positive force, a force multiplier as far as support of the creative community here in Denver. And so, similar to the other episodes, again, what we're trying to focus on is people who are able to sit in that space of creativity, of ethical business, and people who are willing to share their stories, willing to talk about what they've learned along that journey and give us the opportunity to learn from them, as well as to celebrate their contributions to the community.
Absolutely. The Crypt is a horror-themed bar that has quite alternative entertainment selections.
Yeah, a huge
on
variety.
A daily basis.
Huge variety.
And they also have amazing food. And it's a wonderful gathering place. Yeah. It's literally, it's one of the hubs here in the community now. So and it's definitely one of those places.
Absolutely. And that was one of the things I was excited that we got to in our conversation is Priscilla's always gone out of her way to create spaces that were community minded. And so hearing her talk about why that's important to her.
And how she's doing it deliberately.
Exactly.
We had a lot of fun with her. We walked in, we sat down, and literally the minute I turned on the mic, we talked. Like, there wasn't an issue. We had to kind of cut ourselves short. So enjoy this conversation with Priscilla from the Crypt. And I know it'll bring up a whole bunch of memories for everybody listening, but it'll also bring up a whole bunch of other conversations in the future. We're very excited to bring it to you.
We are very excited. Enjoy.
This is Six Disc Changer.
Six Disc Changer.
One of these days I'll be able to say it right. All right, here we go. Episode 3. Okay. Talk into your mic for a second.
Hello? Okay.
Six Disc Changer is what we're calling this thing.
Okay, I love it.
It's a throwback. It's us calling it what it is, right?
Okay.
Mike and I started this little podcast because we want to talk to people that are doing things that we respect, people that are in the scene, people that are doing things a little different maybe than some. And you were one of the first people that came to mind, so we wanted to talk to you, Priscilla.
That's so making me cry right away. That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. I know for me, like, having met you, so we're here at the Crypt, which is your place, and having met you back when you managed Tui's, like, one of the things I've always loved in the time I've known you and what really respected is, I guess, a couple things. One, how involved you are in the community, because it's easy to like sit back and just like, I see this with a lot of like the bar scene in Denver. Like, if you have a place people like to go, it's easy to just sit back and just be cool and just like not really do shit, and not really like contribute. And I've always felt like that you've done a really good intentional job of avoiding that trap. And I also love that.
Okay, I might actually cry.
I also love that of all the places, because Denver does have some really cool places.
It's true.
In that you've been able to carve out really unique aesthetics and community in both the places that I've known you at. So I don't know if I guess just for the people who don't know you.
Yeah, let's start at the beginning.
Let's start about how you.
The Denver beginning.
Yeah, the Denver beginning. Please,
Okay. Well, thank you for saying that. It's awesome to hear that out loud, and that people notice. It's certainly not why I do that stuff, but just thank you, for getting it. But to go to the Denver beginning, just like how I ended up here.
It's kind of a weird spot to start, but Denver beginning.
Well, it's hard because I'm not from Denver.
Right.
I've been here for 15 years, so I'm going to have to start before that.
Okay, we'll start where you want to start.
I'm from Washington, D.C., and I ended up here. It'll be 15 years this spring. I guess it's a pretty long time, so I can say that I'm Denver or whatever, but I'm going to claim D.C. till the day I die.
Right.
But that, I've been in the bar business for a long time, and I owned a spot out there that didn't work out, and I was like, I'm fucking done. Came out here because I had a good friend here, and I was like, let me check it out, and so it began. One of the things that I noticed, kind of what you're saying, is how different the cultures are from Washington, D.C. to Denver. And that was a huge problem for me. It continues to be a huge problem for me. Seeing how different it is. I'm not going to say that there aren't great people and people that don't care, but it's hard to see that people just started noticing that they're supposed to speak up in the last 5 years.
Right.
And I have been, like, since I've gotten here, trying to, like, you know, make changes in the community and give back and be creative and give a fuck, but not just for me, just for everyone, because I find it kind of strange that a lot of people weren't. Again, not saying that other people haven't, not going to insult the people that have done rad things. But it's weird. It just seems like a lot of people are just kind of getting the memo in the past 5 years. And for me, I'm like, it's 2025.
Yeah, where have you been?
Why have you not been fighting for a lot of these things? You know, if you're punk kids and shit. So I guess it's kind of, you know, it's bar world, but it's more than just working in a bar. You know, it's more than that. Like, it takes so much of calling your friends out, separating yourself, setting boundaries, checking in on people, seeing who actually feels alone, and, you know, kind of like we had just been talking about, like, where do we belong? What do we do? And then also hearing the hypocrisy as well. A lot of people that say and post, and then it just ends there.
Right.
And I know I'm trying to be better at not being angry about that. I spend a lot of times being angry, like, you're saying shit, but you're not doing shit. That post isn't enough. But then I try to change perspective and be like, I guess that those are baby steps, right? But it takes a lot. And I feel like when I first moved here, I did not see a lot of that. I saw a lot of racism flying around from people that were respected in the community, a lot of sexism,
Sure.
Just disgusting shit. And then I would get a lot of hatred. And I'm like, this is so weird. I'm being hated on more than, like, that really fucking horrible piece of shit dude that's done all this fucked up shit, right, because I didn't grow up with them. And that's a really hard thing. So for me, I'm like, I can, you know, be bummed about it, or I can just, you know, show them that I don't give a fuck, and that's not the way.
Right.
And that's a lot of things that, you know, again, on different levels. You know, I'm a brown woman. I'm into alternative shit. And you just get the struggle from every end. And I just sit back and see, like, boys club shit, yeah, and mean girl shit. And it's not just about me. I see other people going through it. And it's like, why do you care if that person is into punk rock or not? Who gives a fuck? You know, make them feel safe regardless. And I feel like it's simple math for me,
right,
in a lot of places. But you're right. Like, there's great bars here, and I'm not going to knock them, but a lot of them, I just don't think that they're quite getting it. If your environment is so safe, you shouldn't need a sign to let everyone know. It should just
right,
be, you know. And
yeah,
that takes
well,
takes
you know when
years.
you walk in, right? Like,
yeah,
you don't have to warn people
it's
that
cool
you're
to
open-minded.
remind people,
Yeah, yeah.
but it's also like, okay, you printed the sign, you made the post, but what are you doing to train your staff? How are you communicating that?
Right.
What are you actually going to do if something goes down? Are you prepared for that? What are you, you know, what's your plan? Should I turn that on?
No, it's hilarious.
So every few minutes, Freddy Krueger is
That
going
was
to go
Freddie
off.
from the pinball machine.
Well, 'cause he agrees.
he's with us tonight.
He's over that shit.
he
He's like, I'm
agrees.
tired of it.
Who's here? Who's in the back?
And I get what you're saying, and for me, and this is by no means meant to defend inaction or bad behavior, but I know, like, just being honest, like, it's one of those things where even when you're aware of those things where you should speak out, I know for me it took years to work up the I don't give a fuckness that you're speaking of, to, like, actually do it. Like, for me, it's honestly only been, like, the last 6 or 7 years where I've, like, built in myself the courage to call shit out that I'm seeing around the community, where it's like, no, dude, that's not okay.
That's,
you know,
because it takes time to be taken seriously in the community, where people have already been here and have been doing it, and then you're not part of those cliques from the start. So those people that have get the automatic pass, and then people like us that were never like that have to put more work in and build up that courage, because we feel like if we speak up, they're going to be like, she here, Mike said.
Right, totally, yeah.
You know, and
totally,
then all of a sudden we're fucking back in 6th grade, and we're like, oh, what's going to happen if I say something? Am I going to have friends? Are people going to understand? And it's honestly just communication. There is this world that exists for adults on an everyday basis. I don't know why the bar world kind of struggles with it, where we can just be like, hey, I have an opinion or something that you did bothered me. Okay, let's hear it out. Well, here's my perspective. And, oh, shit, I had no idea. And then you discuss it. I feel at the very least people should be able to start there.
Absolutely.
But it doesn't happen. People have strong opinions and they go to everyone else except for the person that was hurt in the first place. That they need to talk to.
Yeah.
And I feel like because of that, a lot of people like us that have already grown up kind of being, made fun of and pushed out and, already have our anxiety issues and, our like trauma and for whatever different reasons, it does take, we choke up, we choke. We're just like, I don't know. Oh, fuck. Like, I just want to, I just want friends. And that's where it's a hard part of growing up where you decide, are those really the friends you want?
Right.
Is that really what matters? But it takes time. And I get it. Like, you just, maybe it's easier if I don't say anything.
Yeah. And I've definitely dealt with that thought.
It's a lot, you know, where you're just like, my ass has been like this, for the most part, most of my life where I'm just like, oh man, I don't know if I cannot say something.
Right.
It's just, I'm going to say something and we'll figure it out later. But it wasn't always like that. But it's the hall passes, and that's just what they're called. And it just takes time. So again, try not to call people out for not using their voice, but now I look at it different. Now it's 2025.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, we still doing the fucking hall pass shit?
Yeah,
Are we
totally.
still just letting people get away? Are you still just claiming certain things? And all I can think about is like, you're saying all this shit, but if you're hugging your grandma like nothing on Thanksgiving, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Totally, yeah,
I don't know if I
totally.
believe anything you're saying.
Totally.
I don't know if you're really here for it. If it's also just, it's the black square during the pandemic. It's the perfect example.
Right.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Everyone is like, that's what I do. That's what I do. If I love black people, I gotta make my profile that. And you're like, and then everyone else is like, this is embarrassing.
Yeah, that's just the one thing. Yeah, that's the
and then
one
like
thing,
that's
yeah.
it. And then it's back to like, do you guys know where I can, find some sneakers? You're like, what? You didn't even give a fuck 20 minutes ago
Right.
about that. Now that's a priority and that gets more attention. So, it's hard. I can go on, but coming here, I didn't realize that is something that I would want to focus on more because even though there are struggles in the cultures that I grew up in such a beautiful place, Washington, D.C. I just, even when moments where you don't belong, I felt like I belong more. Right. I go home and I'm instantly comfortable, and I love Denver. And it's, it's just different. It's culture shock. I get here and I'm like, oh, why is everyone so like scared of people of color?
Right.
Saying
Totally,
like, why
totally.
does, and it's just, I don't know. It's, I guess I had to see like, oh man, like this place needs a little bit of work, and a lot of other places do, but for me, this is where I live, and I would like to at least give back.
Right.
Yeah, and do that. So yeah, I guess like I never was like, this is like what I moved here for. I had no idea. I had lived in this place where I was like, cool, now I'm gonna go to this other city, and then I'm like, oh, this is like you guys are listening to like really sketchy black metal over here.
Dude.
Like shit like that.
That's a whole other like,
you know what I mean? Like
we
there's
can
things
get
where I'm
into,
like, oh fuck, and there's also things that's like people are learning, and it's where I was like, damn. Some people just don't even realize it. Let's see how they listen when you bring it up.
Right. Exactly.
And I think that's the
Let's
coolest
start the
thing.
talk, the conversation
Yeah.
at least. Yeah.
Like, perfect example. My partner will play like, a shuffle or something. A song every once in a while will come up. It's out of our control. And I'll go over there jokingly and be like, do you know this fucking band? And I turn it off and he's like, I don't even know what the fuck this is.
Right.
And I'm like, I only know because I looked at the name, but this is like, Take or whatever. And I'm like, we're not playing this shit in here.
Right.
There's things like that happen, of course.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I'm like, oh my God, what if someone does know? And then they think that they can belong here because they came in and heard that shit.
Yeah, totally.
And it's just a matter of letting people know, hey, you probably shouldn't play that. And then it's the responses. And that's what creates safer environments. It's about not being defensive, not doing, getting mad at someone, not being like, I can listen to whatever I want, not defending it. And I guess that's what I have been trying to focus on the last 15 years in the city. So there's a whole lot of that. But yeah, safe spaces take more than a sign, period.
Right. Absolutely.
And it's so important. And it's also, you got to also put your own work into it too. It's, you can't, like, you can Google all you want, but if you're like, how do I just not let gay people be scared? And you're like, well, have you noticed someone being uncomfortable? Like shit like that. And it's kind of hard for me to hear because I'm like, what do you mean? Yeah. Like, it's however things that would scare you, it's the same thing just for someone that's gay. Like if you feel uncomfortable, right. If, or someone, any type of queer person or person of color or whatever, and people just don't see that. I'm just like, what has bothered you about things in the world? Yeah. Mm-hmm. You don't like being randomly grabbed by someone? That person doesn't either. Exactly. Protect them. It's also not about just like male and female or, it should be across the board. And I feel like there's a lot of people be like, we need to make women feel safe. I'm like, we need to make everyone feel safe. Right. It's not an all lives matter thing at all. That's different. Right. Everyone should be like nobody. Right. It shouldn't be okay to grab her ass, their ass, or his ass.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't do that.
Exactly. Yeah,
and exactly. But people are just like, wait, what? I thought I'm doing it right. And I'm like, it's a start.
It is a start, yeah. And people get so myopic about it. But yeah, I always try to, when people just talk about like one group, it's like, all right, you are trying.
Yep.
And I will give you cookies for that. This is a starting point.
Round
now
2.
Extend that empathy.
Yeah. But you see what I'm saying, you know. So there's, a lot of that is what I feel like goes into creating a true safe space. And I hope that anyone that hears this, put your own work in, put your time in, but, get some tips from people that have been doing this because we take it seriously when you just put your sign up. And something that I hear a lot in here is like, I always feel comfortable. And when I hear that, I'm like, oh my God, that's like all I've ever wanted. Like I'll go bankrupt, put my life savings into a bar. But if you feel like you can come sit here and read your book and know that like a bartender isn't going to say, they just think you're cute. They want to buy you a drink. Shit like that. Yeah. That is, instead, bartenders here are going to be like, leave them alone. They don't want your fucking drink. There's a difference in protecting people. And I hope that other people do, again, it's like, I want to like share these tips. Right. Even though I feel like it's almost cheating for some people. I want them, they should just have it. We should just know. But,
well, as a bar owner, you're not only married to the venue, but you're a community organizer. Yeah. Like you're dealing with everybody all the time.
All the time.
So it's funny you sit down in front of a mic and suddenly you have a checklist because it's like these are all the things I've learned.
These are the things that I fucking learned, and it's also the
the
things that I continue to learn and continue to do. But I definitely like. It's also okay to just not say anything too. If you're a business that isn't taking it seriously, you just don't have to say that.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. What are you trying for?
You can just legit say, we're a bar.
Yeah.
And that's it. Yeah. That's where I feel like, I don't know. I don't want to say it's my purpose. It's just like everyday shit. I want to do the same shit everyone else wants to do, minus all the shit that sucks.
Right. Saying,
like,
totally fair.
I want to be a hands-on owner that pays attention. I really just want to go home at the end of the day and relax and be with my family and, still have my interests and still see rad shit happening and not rip off bands and not rip off performers. There's a way that you can do things if you're genuine and give a fuck, and you'll be a punk rock kid till the day I die. I hope that I can retire in the next couple of years, but that just means retiring from bartending.
Right.
I'm going to be 45 in 2 years. So I'm like, that's it. I'm done. But, it is a bummer to hear things that people are like, oh, and you fucking promoter. I'm like, how much are you fucking taking from bands that have just played their third show?
What does that really mean? Like, what are you trying to tell me here?
What do you, and like when people are like all like, I'm like, dude, if you've never booked shows and you're not a part of that shit, like, start off making flyers by hand. If you've never stood in a fucking Kinko's at fucking 11 o'clock, p.m. at night, putting out flyers, I don't think I want to work with you.
Speaking of, we have a few of those on the wall.
I know. Oh, yeah.
So these are the original flyers. So it's actually pretty cool. We bought the bar.
I like that, yeah.
And this used to be another space, but we didn't know about it because I wasn't from here. So it was Cafe Euphrates, and it was also... It was the Grove first.
Oh, this was the Grove?
Yeah.
I've heard of the Grove.
This
no
is
way.
the Grove.
A lot of pictures.
Wild. Okay.
So,
yeah.
we bought the bar and we got here, and there was a
yeah,
bunch
now I
of
see
these
it. Yeah,
flyers
okay.
were taped on the door, and I was like, "What the fuck is this shit?" And then I was like, "This is cool. Whoa, but this is here." And then I was like, "Is someone trying to send me a message?" And it was like their venue first. Or something. Like I was like, "I don't know what the fuck this is."
Yeah.
And so I put out I hit some friends up and was like,
What is this? Huh?
I think one was like Amanda Bernard, and I was like, "Do you know who this?" She's like, "I'm going to research it," and it was Andrew Novak, and he was doing a punk rock scavenger hunt, and he didn't know that we had just bought this, and then we met up, and
Oh,
I was
funny.
like, he's like, "This is awesome." So yeah, all these shows happen here, but it was weird because there's bands from DC that are my friends' bands, so I was like, I was confused, but I saw the Iron Cross, and those
Yeah.
are my fucking homies, and Soulside, and I was
Yeah.
like, is someone sending me some weird message from DC? No, it's because they played here.
That's
and
awesome.
Yeah, so we were like, let's honor those shows.
And the
yeah.
Crypt has been here for 3 years now?
We just did 3 years.
Congrats.
Things are going great. I'm pumped on it. We have all types of entertainment here. Again, I don't like just being like it's easy to say punk because I feel like punk is rap to me.
Right.
Punk is anything that you're basically like we all agree like yell at your parents when you're young, fuck cops.
It's something with
Teen
intentionality.
angst,
like-
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You do whatever the fuck you want. So like even in here, people were like, "You're playing rap." I'm like, "Fuck yeah, I love fucking rap, dude. What do you mean?"
Why would anyone
you're,
Why would we not?
a lot of people forget
exactly,
that,
yeah.
but I like to say punk venue. However, it's not just punk shows. A lot of goth DJ nights, a lot of drag, burlesque.
And the goth nights are amazing here.
Yeah, we
They
have,
really are.
it's just all over the place, which makes it pretty fun. But yeah, we just did our 3-year anniversary, January 13th. And I think we'll be here for a bit, hopefully.
I love that.
I don't think I want more of these. I think this is
You're right.
this is it.
Well, that's another thing that you're doing really well, and because part of what we're interested in hearing in people's stories, and you've already spoken to it very well about the intentionality with which you approach this. But part of it is the risk people take to create a space that's unique to what they want and to what they want to contribute to the community. Yeah. And when I think about, like, when I look at the lineups the Crypt has, you take risks that other bars don't. Specifically, because there's so many places in the city where it's like, all right, they've got like just the hard rock and metal, right? Or just like the hip shit, maybe, dude, like all the hip hop's way the fuck over here, but like, you're doing all these things plus the goth nights, plus the burlesque, all these things that are normally separated. Again, was that part of that intentionality, and how are you keeping that so seamless and smooth?
So I've actually, when I was in DC, I owned a sideshow bar, a sideshow museum of oddities bar, which we did burlesque, drag, and sideshow shit. I was a performer as well. So I was a booking agent for years. Coney Island sideshow, Sword Swallowers, Fire Breathers.
Yeah.
And that's actually when I was like, hey, I've already done a bunch of like punk and hardcore shit. This is specific. So I had that knowledge already. I've been doing it, for a long time. I stopped when I moved here, but I love it. I love it. I think it's fun entertainment. I love seeing people go out on date nights. I love seeing people's birthday parties. I love seeing people. It's the confidence. It goes back to like being a place that's all inclusive, where people are like, hey, I am shy and I'm worried about my body, but in this place, I feel like magic.
Let's walk in and have
I'm
a
going to
great
put
night.
on fishnets and pasties, and no one's going to judge me. And if I ever heard anyone say like ew or anything like that, they would be fucking gone.
Dude, yeah, 86.
I've only had a couple issues like that, and it's been like, boo you, like we don't play that shit, and that's what burlesque is. Burlesque started as larger, thicker, voluptuous women. Right. And now I love that it has changed to all sizes, non-binary. It doesn't really matter, but it's about being creative and having a place where you can do that and not be judged. So that's where that comes in. It's same as drag. It's performance art. It's a beautiful thing to see. And then the combo is that we get to do that with people that are into alternative lifestyles and music. So I'm like, oh, are you telling me that I can listen to Typo Negative and see someone take their clothes off to it.
Right.
And that person can be
But
a
I'm
burlesque
coming to work
performer.
for this?
And I'm
Yeah.
at work. Or they can be a drag queen or a drag king. I fucking love this. It's like the perfect combination of like, yeah, we're doing whatever the fuck we want, aren't we? And it's awesome. It feels great. I also am specific, though. I will say, like, there's places like I want to do this. I'm like, that sounds dope. I don't think that's going to work here. And it's only because I only have so many weekends that I can do that. And it is a risk, you know? So for me, I'm like, there's some things I'm like, I'd love to, but that's more with bands. You know, there's a lot of places that can hold bands in Denver. There's so many venues. Yeah. And that's kind of like with us, we're like, we're just going to do our own thing. It's a little bit of what you guys are doing, but we're going to kind of do our shit. Yeah. And we're good with that. I don't want a giant venue. I don't need that shit.
That's a whole other headache.
Shows at a place like this are better sometimes anyway, because it's
small,
so
intimate.
Like you're talking to everybody.
Get your cheeseburger and then call it a night.
Oh man,
hopefully
the food's
walk
great
home.
here too. You've done well there. You've seen me come by just for a salad.
Oh
so
yeah.
it works.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the beet salad. Dude.
Yeah, it's delicious.
I love that.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things I love about what's being built. You'll come here on a Friday, and it's like a sick show with a bunch of heavy music. Then come here Saturday for an art show. Then come here Sunday for like the arts and crafts thing. You know,
or the drag brunch or whatever.
Exactly. It's like, you know, and if it's not what you're into, then try tomorrow. I've said that to people even with music. They're like, "Do you have a jukebox?" I'm like, "Fuck no." Why? I'm like, "You look like, you know, you would ruin our fucking night playing a bunch of shit we don't want to listen to. Sorry." Like that's the one thing that I'm gonna always be like, "No, you don't gotta tell me what to play in my own house."
Yeah, exactly.
That doesn't work. Sorry.
And, but people do that shit. I've seen so many bars get their nights ruined by one person thinking it's funny to play nothing but Taylor Swift. And I'm like, I don't care if you like Taylor Swift. I don't want that in the business nonstop on repeat, period. But, you know, it's different. But I tell people, I'm like, if you don't like it, then just wait 5 minutes. And it's the same with performances. If you don't, it's drag tonight. If you don't like it, come back tomorrow or don't, you know, like that's your choice. But that's the switching it up. It's like, there's always something different. And sometimes, you know, for me, there's days where I'm working all those events where I'm like, God, what a fucking week. I went from like, you know, this to that. And I just love it. You know, like, tonight we have an art opening that they're setting up right now,
that's
and
cool.
then the artist's band's playing tonight, and sick. I think that's dope. You know, it's a $5 10 p.m. show to show his art. You know, his art night. I'm like, fuck yeah. And last night was drag, and you know, shit like that is just. I'm like, who knows what's going on here? It's a cool thing to see, though. I just sit back and I'm like, this is awesome. Good night, and then I go home because I'm tired as hell.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Yeah. Yeah. I love it here. I'm very proud for sure.
Nice.
It's also why it's going to probably just be my one and done.
Right.
You're sticking around. It's going to be
This is
good.
it.
Totally.
All right. So I know you got to start opening and getting back to this here in a minute.
We're good, but
tell us a little bit about this new project you were talking about right before we started.
oh, cool. I would love to
let's
talk about that.
Discuss that part.
Yeah.
So I'm working on what's going to turn into a zine, but right now it's going to be short bios on people in the community. It might eventually go to people outside of Denver, but for now I want to start in Denver again to kind of get people to see things from a different perspective. And that perspective is a lot of us that feel like we don't know our place. We don't know where we fit in. And I'm talking specifically, people of color, queer people, trans folk, all of us that have faced more challenges than others. And, white people have kind of just existed and never really been like gone through some of the things that we have as like brown and black punk
Absolutely,
kids.
it's true.
Or the trans punk kid.
Right.
It's really hard to see. It's heartbreaking. It's something I'm trying to bring more awareness to. So I'm doing that by reminding people how amazing we all are and creative, and for people to stop looking at black people like they're thugs, stop looking at brown people like ICE is going to be knocking on our door any day. Like this, it blows my mind that people just, even they don't realize it, naturally just feel like, why does Mike talk like that.
Right. No, totally, yeah.
And I'm sure, like, I've gotten the same shit. I'm like, and sometimes I'm mad. You'll hear the DC come out of me for sure.
Right.
But then there's other times it's like when we hear shit like that, it's weird. And it's weird when I hear, friends being like, oh, you're into this? And I'm like, what the fuck? Pamphlet came with me at birth that said I'm supposed to listen to this.
No,
like,
this is part of the
hey,
deal.
You're around, you must listen to Marvin Gaye only.
Right,
you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, it's really
the
bizarre.
one thing, yeah.
So I'm trying to highlight bios on people. It's starting with Black History Month today. It's going to be hopefully one every day if I can get it together. It's going to come back again at Pride.
Nice.
It's going to be another month during Indigenous Heritage Month as well. Then I'll also highlight women. And I just want to have people share some of their basic interests. It's like, what do you do for work? What are you interested in? It's also like highlighting things that they want to see change in the community. That's one of the questions. And I want people to be able to sit there and read and be like, I never thought about that. That's really cool. Or like, wow, this is what all these people do. And you're like, yeah, all the people that you and your families have stereotyped into a certain category for as long as you can remember, even if you don't realize that you're doing it, that we're supposed to be like, oh, I met your family. They all speak English. And you're like, yes.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? You guys are educated, huh?
Yeah,
Shit.
right,
There's
exactly.
a lot of racism that people don't even realize they're doing. There's these microaggressions that come out just because of the way they were raised.
Right.
So this project is just a reminder that it's called We Do Belong Here, and a reminder of like we can be wherever the fuck we want and be interested in whatever we want. And you should, instead of wondering or assuming, why don't you just read about it?
Right.
Read about someone that's a really cool part of the community that's doing rad stuff.
There's
in
always
music.
that one thing that just says, "Whoa, interesting."
Yeah, I
if
never
it
knew
catches
that.
somebody's mind
Right.
enough to talk about it or discuss it or
And-
interact, it's a great thing.
And it's also, like I said, one of the questions is somebody, whoever I'm interviewing, I want to know a charity that they want to be featured. And I feel like that's a good way to get people like, there's a lot of charities that get attention, and I love that.
Sure.
But there's a lot that don't.
Right.
And that's a big thing that I'm trying to focus on this year is like, hey, shout out something because we can learn from that. Like, I had no idea there was a cool program for kids in music in high school and stuff like that. Let's hear about that.
Right.
And just bring awareness to that, and we can tag that on social media and encourage people to donate. I started a program here in October.
I was going to ask you about that.
And that's kind of tying into this. It's a roundup and give back. So we created a drink, and $1 from every drink, and we did not raise the price of the drink. It's the same price as all of our other cocktails. $1 gets donated to a charity every month, and then we give customers a chance to round up on the credit card shit. We're not fucking Target. We're not, asking. We're not a corporation asking for more money because that shit's gross.
Right.
It's a chance to be like, hey, you might be broke, but maybe 37 cents would be rad. At
We
the end of the
put it in the
month,
bucket for
they're
everybody
it's
else,
adding up
yeah.
to like 150, and then like maybe 100, 120 from us. So we've been averaging about $250 a month.
awesome.
And it's a different charity every month. So right now we're doing. Last month was a coalition for the homeless. Harm reduction just ended, and then this month is going to be for Black cinema.
Oh, very nice.
Organizations to get people creatives that want to grow in that field.
Oh, cool. Right.
And I just feel like it's kind of tying into that, like, again, what can we do with our platforms and our voices? But those little chunks of change make a huge difference in a small nonprofit organization. Right. Not just the money, but it's reminding people not to give up. Like, we see you. We love that you are, probably really stressed and going broke, trying to bring awareness to this charity that means a lot to you. And then you just get $200 one day.
Yeah,
and then
right.
that can grow into other people being like, I want to help that charity too. So I'm really hoping that can just, bring awareness to a lot of people that need it. I love Planned Parenthood. I donated to Planned Parenthood every month for so many years until I stopped because I kept getting so much junk mail.
Right. Yeah, totally.
And
yeah.
it was bumming me out. And then I was like, oh my God, I need to focus on the small ones, right?
Mm-hmm. Right, right.
So it ties into that. And so the zine will hopefully highlight small charities, ways people can help. I'm also working on a project for hygiene box that I'll be doing with the Coalition of the the homeless and harm reduction, we have a meeting coming up soon where we're going to create a hygiene box outside so people have 24-hour access to toothbrush, tampons, and you know, you
That's a
don't
cool
have to be
idea.
unhoused to do that. It's for everyone. So we'll be doing charity events to just drop off like you know, wet wipes and deodorant. And there's a lot of food resources. What do you do if you are unhoused and it's 2 a.m. and you're bleeding out?
Yeah,
Right.
I would like for
Right.
you to know that you can come here, and if it's emptied, then we're doing something right.
Right.
You know,
Sure.
and so it's all going to kind of tie into that. So that hopefully will come out in the next month or two as well. So yeah, you know, we're doing some rad shit. We're trying to just have more resources, and I just really hope it's going to take a while, but I hope by the end of the year it can take off and grow, and people just will be excited to also contribute on their own too,
Well, it's
in their
super
own
inspiring.
ways.
It really is.
Yeah.
So
Thank
thank you for
you.
that.
That direct action is exactly
Yeah.
what's needed.
And it gives
Awesome,
us
thank
more
you.
of a
Well, if you guys
reason.
ever want to be a part of
Yeah.
it or something like show benefits like that, like
Sure.
Oh,
that's
definitely.
what, you know, I'm working on is like, what can we do with our skills to raise money? Not all of us can just dig into our pockets, but we can maybe play guitar or paint something or bake something. And that's the
Let's
whole
make
point
an
is
event
like,
to turn
you're
into
like, I
something,
don't
yeah.
have much money, but I can do this.
Right.
And so if you guys are ever interested, you know, just benefit shows, shit like that, where we can be
I
like,
love stuff like that.
stuff like that, you're like, yeah, this one is just, that would be great. And the ones that we do here, we do every few months, it'll be like $400 or $500. Like I've had friends bring cases of tampons.
Man, that's awesome.
You know, so that is a big focus this year. I mean, we've done it since the beginning, but now more so of like, okay, what do we really do to care about our community?
Right.
Right.
Can't
exactly,
just
yeah.
use the word community. You have
Right,
to
yeah.
actually be a part of it.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah, yeah.
so yeah, thanks for asking. I'm excited.
Well, we love this place already, but all these things are inspiring and it makes us want to come help
thank
and hang
you.
out more, you know?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, literally, we're here all the time for other things, or we'll stop by for a drink or a burger or whatever, but
Right.
it's not just one event. It's let's go by because we're in the area. You
Yeah,
know, let's
thanks.
come be a part of the community
And,
that you're building.
yeah,
So it's great.
Even if you're hanging out and not drinking, round
Right.
up
Yeah.
a few cents, and we'll be like, thank you.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's 25 cents. Fuck yeah, dude, thanks.
We'll
you
take
know,
it, yeah.
but it adds up. So
Right.
it's a reminder that shit does pay off and it adds up. And it,
Totally.
yeah.
That
I'm
actually,
excited.
as a little thing, that's you just said not drinking. That's another thing that you've done really well in the places you've been involved with is helping people who aren't drinking still feel welcome. Because there's bars I've been to where like if you're not drinking, nah, man,
Oh
you
my
can,
God.
like you cannot be there, dude.
I've
like you're
literally been
screwed.
asked to leave
Like,
places where I'm like, but I'm tipping on my water. I don't. And like
Yeah.
myself, you know, I'm not much of a drinker these days, and you know, I've drank once since summer, and it's just phasing out more and more. You know, my personal choices, but yeah, I want people to be like, is it okay if I'm just having a soda? I'm like, of course it's okay.
Yeah.
You know, that's a whole other part of it. I'm like, yeah, you can do that. I mean, if you're going to sit there all night, whether it's a beer or soda, just, you know, not like talk. I don't know. There's sometimes people you're just like, are you here to like creep on people?
Yeah, totally, yeah. or
But
just
if
or
you're-
just mope.
but your
Yeah,
soda,
totally, yeah.
your $2 soda is no different from a $3 beer.
Yeah, exactly.
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, and you should be able to
some
be
people
here,
are
make
just-
friends, be
Right.
part of the community.
Also, you can
Right.
socialize and be sober, and there's no reason why that should
Right.
you should feel unwelcome because you're not doing shots with everyone.
Right, exactly.
I'm like, and I tell people too, I'm like, I'm not drinking. They're like, you're a sober bartender. I'm like, yeah.
Why
I
not?
feel like you kind of like all the best bartenders kind of are because at a certain point, like, yeah, and this is an aside, but you know, it's like, yeah, you party with your customers, but there's such a fine line,
Yeah.
like such a fine line.
Even when I was a heavy drinker, I honestly, for the most part, stayed sober at work. I think you've
Yeah.
seen that. And I'm in charge. I'm babysitting everyone.
Well, and you learn
Yeah.
that whether you're behind the bar or in
Yeah.
front of the bar.
I
At
also,
a certain
like,
point,
I'm at
when
work,
you can't
I'm
decide
not-
who's who.
Right, exactly, yeah.
You know, I don't like mixing those worlds, and
Right.
maybe later, but then people will be like, "What's up, Priscilla? We had so much fun the other night." And I'm like, "Who in the fuck
Yeah,
are
what?
you?
Who?
I've
Yeah,
never
exactly.
met you."
Yeah,
And
exactly, yeah.
I think it's unsafe for me personally.
Right.
And and also sometimes everyone's like, "Yeah, you got kind of drunk like when I used to," and then you just kind of walked away. I'm like,
Totally, yeah.
yeah, I probably
yeah.
shouldn't. I'll be
Probably
like,
cut
I'm
myself
done.
off,
I'm like, I
yeah.
don't want to fucking bartend anymore. I don't want to fucking party.
Right.
But that's also part of just getting older. I'm like, oh my God, how the fuck did I do that in my 20s? Like, I'm at work, shots.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, let's start this.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, those days are over for me. But yeah, everyone, we're doing stuff with new specials that come out next week. We're happy hour now includes $5 mocktails.
Nice.
And again, as a reminder to people that it ain't just like booze, booze, booze. You're like, there's other drinks.
Yeah, totally.
Snacks,
Absolutely.
movies. Come hang out if you're lonely at home. And, there's a lot of people that sit at home and feel like they have no friends and think about taking their lives and feel like they're never going to meet anyone and they're lonely. And then you just see them become regulars sitting at the bar and you see them join conversations. You see them, you start asking, how's your day going? Oh, I like that shirt. There's a way you do that. And it's a beautiful thing to see someone kind of start laughing along with all the regulars,
right.
and then next thing you know, they become one and they feel, and then everyone's like, hey, what's up? And it's my favorite thing
Suddenly
about
you're part of the team.
bartending.
Yeah,
Suddenly
yeah.
you're part
Absolutely.
of it, and nobody had to be super cool looking.
Yeah,
You didn't
right,
have
right,
to have
exactly,
throat
yeah.
tattoos. And I say,
Right,
I'm like, don't let my throat tattoos. I'm a fucking nerd.
right.
Saying like, people are like, what's the cool shit to do? I'm like, you're asking the wrong bitch. I don't fucking know. But yeah, that's one of the coolest things is, some people are like, I want to go somewhere I can socialize. And but I don't drink. I'm like, you don't have to just go to the library.
Yeah,
Right.
totally.
There's other
Yeah.
places.
Totally.
Yeah.
Ty, dude, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you guys. Thanks for letting me ramble about stuff that means a lot to me. It's
Oh,
really
absolutely.
important,
Like I said,
so.
or more accurately, like Derek said, the point of this is to hear the perspective of people in the community, people who are doing unique things. Because part of it is also like from the perspective of people who are looking to start their own projects, looking to get involved as maybe small business owners. All of these things matter, and even if it doesn't sound like we talked about business, like P&L sheets and stuff like that, these things all matter.
Yeah,
and how
because
you
we're
how
all
you
broke no
become
matter how.
that. Yeah.
Nobody wants to talk about that shit.
Let's talk about what matters, right? Like that's how is it that we can all support each other in what matters,
Yeah.
right? So whether we're playing music or listening to the music, we have to have a place to come enjoy the music.
Yeah,
And
there's
we're
ways
all
you can
parts of this.
protest without being in marches. You know what I'm saying? There's
Right.
ways that you can do that. And some of us, we have kids and we're older and we're like, I feel unsafe going to protest downtown.
Sure.
That doesn't mean that we stop protesting. Protest
Right.
is an everyday thing.
It doesn't
And
have to just
there's
happen on
ways that
Sundays
we
from
give back
2 to 4.
and fight back. Yeah, or once a year.
Right.
So thanks for recognizing that. I love you guys.
Yeah.
Likewise.
So
Thank you
much.
so
This was
much.
awesome.
Yeah, I love you.
Cool.
Excellent. Brayburn Records is an independent label based in Fort Collins, Colorado, with a roster of amazing bands featuring Suicide Cages, Ira Knox, Talking Point, Chew Through, Mood Swing Misery, and Pictures Can Tell. Expect great things from our lineup of releases this year. Follow Brayburn on Instagram at Brayburn Records and find all of our releases on Bandcamp. Look for a limited edition lathe cut 7-inch by Talking Point in February of 2025.
Bones to crack underneath the weight of all disbelief.
A Thundersnow Harmonics production.